there, YouTube. I'm back again today for another game review. Today, I'm very excited to check out Rumis, the exciting game of three-dimensional strategy from Educational Insights. This is for 2 to 4 players, ages 8+. It'll take you about, 10-15 minutes to play. And in Rumis, this is a stacking abstract strategy game because we all need more stacking abstract strategy games. This one has these really cool plastic chunky pieces. You're going to be stacking them up in all sorts of different formations. There's 4 different formations. It's even got a little turntable in the middle that you'll be able to spin around so things won't fall over. There's tons and tons and tons and tons of abstract strategy stacking games. Does this one set itself apart? Did it earn this Mensa Select thing? Well, probably. I imagine that would be false advertising if it didn't actually earn it. But does it deserve it? I'll be the judge of that because, well, I'm reviewing it. So let's open it up and I'll check it out. Alright then, we're going to take a look at what you're going to get inside of Rumis. So first and foremost, we have our handy-dandy rulebook. It is 2 pages, full of color, full of pictures, illustrations, examples. It's very well done. It should have you up and running in no time at all. So big thumbs up on the rule booklet. Also, I can give you a good feel for how the game works right now. So in Rumis, you are going to be building one of these 4 different ancient structures, which are actually historically correct from like the Mayan culture or one of the Aztec culture, one of the old cultures that they used to have. And you're going to be using your stack of these big chunky plastic pieces and building with the hopes of having your color be seen when you look at it from a bird's eye view at the end of the game. What am I talking about? Let's go over the components. Let's get into the gameplay. So first you're going to get 4 of these different tiles right here. I really wish they were double-sided. I see no reason why they didn't make a double-sided. It's just laziness, I guess. Not quite sure. Everybody's also going to get 11 of these big chunky Tetris-y looking pieces that are very fun to play with. These are very nicely made, so huge thumbs up on those. You're going to get this turntable, which is actually pretty useful in the game because you don't want to be moving around the pieces because it is kind of delicate when you're getting it set up and when it gets stacked higher and higher and higher because it can go up to 8 layers high depending on your player count. So having this is a very nice added feature. Those are all the components you're going to get. You will be getting these in 4 different colors since it plays in 4 different players. So in the game, what you're going to be doing is you're going to be laying down your pieces with a strict set of rules. So we'll go over some of those rules, but for the most part, they're pretty much self-explanatory. For the first piece you're going to put on is just going to be a regular old piece. You can put it wherever you would like. Boom, I just placed a piece. Next person, once again, has to do the same thing. Now, this is where we can start talking about some of the rules. You can't place anything crazy like this, if you see how I did that, because there's a space underneath there. And while you physically could, just do this to connect your piece to it, the rule is that you have to be able to put every piece in from the top down. So you can't slide things in. Now, you actually can in practice, but in theory, you cannot do that. Now, I'm playing a 2-player version of the game, and what they recommend with the 2-player version of the game is you use the other colors as well. So I would be green and blue, and the other person would be red and yellow. But for the purpose of teaching you how to play the game, I'm not going to go through all of that. So now that we both put our first piece down, we're going to place our second piece. And the rule of the second piece is it has to connect to the first piece in some way, shape, or form. And this game is all about spreading yourself out. So I'll spread myself out so I'll be able to go over here. Now is a good time to tell you about the height limitations in the game because there's a specific section that is all about the height limitations. So if we were playing a 2-player game with these height limitations, we could only stack this thing too high. So in theory, this would be as high as it could go. Now, if we were using blue, green, and red, yellow, we would then go to the 4-player version of the game, which means we could stack this thing 4 high, but no higher than 4. Some of the other obvious rules are you can't place things out of bounds, like duh, and they have to be adjacent. You can't do like diagonal like this, but you're going to keep placing pieces like so, and your structure is going to start looking progressively. Oh yeah, take that bad boy. Progressive. Oh, we're playing 2 players, so I can't go that high. Progressively more cool, like so. Eventually, what's going to happen though is you might get to a point where you don't want to play a piece. Well, if that ever happens, you have to play the piece. That is one of the rules in the game. But eventually what will happen is you'll get to the point where you cannot play a piece. And once you can't play a piece, you're actually, you're going to be out. But the other person gets to keep playing. And once everyone has decided that they can't play anymore, then you're going to tally up the score. So the score is relatively simple. You're going to look at it from a bird's eye view like this, and you're going to count your points. So this would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 points for red. You also then subtract the number of pieces you have less. So 3, 4, 5, 6. And this hypothetical scenario, red would have 4 points and green would just absolutely demolish red. Some of the other buildings have different aspects as well. They can be stacked higher or lower. Some of them actually have numbers where they dictate how high something can be stacked up, which means it's going to look like, for this one, it's going to look like stairs, and this one's going to look like a little pyramid. But that, in a nutshell, is what you're going to do inside of Rumis. Alrighty then, Rumis from Educational Insights. What are my final thoughts? Let's go over the pros, let's go over the cons. First, on the con side, game's not going to be for everybody for a variety of different reasons. 2 to 4 players, restricted player count. Now, more realistically, there is a solo mode. The solo mode is just building the actual structures and trying to build them as well as you can. And if that appeals to you, then that appeals to you. If it doesn't appeal to you, it doesn't appeal to you. For me personally, that's not something that's a selling point for me, but some of the kids in my class really did enjoy building the actual structures as they were supposed to be built. So that's a your mileage may vary kind of thing. Now, moving on to the 2-player version of the game. The 2-player version of the game, if you're playing with just one color each, is not something that I can really recommend. I didn't think it was that much fun. And they even say in the rule booklet, we recommend, or we suggest that you try using 2 colors apiece. So both of you would have, somebody would be blue-green, somebody else would be red-yellow. And that version of the game, I think, is much better if you're playing 2 players. And it's just because of how high you can stack it. It's just a more interesting game, and there's more strategy, I think, to the game when you're playing up to the higher levels at the 3 and 4 players as opposed to just the 2 players. Continuing on with the con side, this is an abstract strategy game with stacking, and that there are so many other abstract strategy games about stacking. Now, I will say I'm not the biggest fan of abstract strategy games, so you need to know that going into the pros and cons, that this is probably one of my least favorite genres of games, just abstract strategy games. And also, this is not my favorite stacking game. I know there's quite a lot of abstract strategy stacking games. I like Blockus, Blocku, whatever you want to call it, and Blockus 3D better than I like this game. That being said, spoilers, I still think this is a good game, especially if you like abstract strategy games. Any other cons that I have with this? There's only 4 boards. I really wish that there were more, and in fact, I feel like it was kind of lazy that they didn't make the boards double-sided at least, so they could have saved themselves at least a little bit of money by only having 2 boards, or better yet, make it so there's 8 different things that you could construct. Maybe you could go away from the history, because I think they kind of were like, oh yeah, we're going to make this theme about, the Aztecs or Mayans, or I'm not sure which one it is. And if they would have kind of veered off that path a little bit more, they could have made some other crazy cool structures, but they chose not to, which I feel like was a mistake. It could have gave the game more legs. Any other cons that I have with the game? No, I mean, as long as you know going into it, it's a very light, simple, abstract strategy game. No, moving on to the pros. I enjoyed Rumis, and I was very pleasantly surprised by Rumis when I first got it out of the box. I grabbed it off this shelf of games that I'm never going to get rid of until I review it, and I was like, oh god, it's just another stupid stacking game. And when I first started playing the game, I was like, yep, this is another stupid stacking game. And then the more I played it, the more I liked it. I actually thought it was a good stupid stacking game. But I did. I actually really enjoyed the game, and I liked how there was actually some strategy here as you try to spread yourself out, but at the same time you want to be towards the top. I like how you have to look at it from a bird's eye view. So there's like the area control aspect of the game where it's like, all right, I have this whole corner right here, so I want to make sure I build on this corner as much as I can, as low as I can, because this is easy points, but at the same time, for the end game purpose, you really want to make sure that you're spreading yourself across the board as well, and I like that aspect of the game. I felt like the rules were really easy to learn and really easy to teach, and the rule booklet did a good job of them. I feel like despite the fact I complained about it, I felt like having 4 different things you could build was a nice deal of variability. And I like the different structures as well, and how some of them have these certain height limitations, like maybe you're making the steps or you're making the pyramid, and I thought that was kind of cool. And it is really neat, especially when you're playing at 2 players the right way, or at 4 players, how towards the end it actually would really start to look like the structure that you're creating and how tall it would get. That's kind of nice as well. Oh, big comment I have with this is when you knock it over, that is a really big party foul, and that does kind of screw up the game, especially if you don't remember how each piece fit in there, because you're going to be putting some of these pieces in pretty intricately, and sometimes you're going to forget how everything was supposed to go, and that can be a big deal, especially for the scoring. So just be careful. They do provide you with the turn wheel, which is really stinking nice as well. That's another thing I like about it. Very nice components of this game. I like how this clean and clear the scoring is. It's just count up the number you have on the top and then minus how many blocks you have. And in the end, Rumis, I thought it was a good game. Is it worth keeping? I think if I liked abstract strategy games, yes, I would keep it. But I don't like abstract strategy games, so no, I'm not going to keep it. But if you were in the market for an abstract strategy game, and you stumble upon this one at a thrift store or for cheap, which most likely is probably when you're going to stumble onto it, because I believe that this is out of print. I know this is an older game, a 90s game. Let's see, 2004. So it's still an older game, 14 years old. Oh, Jesus Christ, that's 14 years old. That makes me so sad. I just had one of those things where you realize how old you are. Focus. Yeah, I think it's a good game. And I think if you like abstract strategy games, if you like stacking games, you're going to like this game even more. I know the kids in my class really enjoyed the game. If you're looking at this as a potentially family weight game, I think this is going to go over very, very well. Or even as a coupley style game or a game night game if your game group does like abstract strategy games. It is on the filler weight side, which is a good thing as well. So in the end, Rumis, I was very pleasantly surprised by this one. It earns whatever sticker that is. It's not actually a sticker. It's actually just printed onto the box. So I just scraped the box. But yeah, Rumis. I'm not going to be keeping it, but I am going to be giving it away to a kid in my class because I know they really enjoyed the game. So there you go. If you enjoyed this video, please sure to click on that subscribe button down below in the comments below. Let me know if you could have a large version of one tiny, tiny animal as a pet, what would it be? So think like a giant cricket. So it'd be like a cricket like the size of this salad thing, this game. I don't know, like actually more like this size, I think, because a cricket's not round. For me personally, I would want a really large, oversized. Oh, what's a friendly, tiny little animal? You know what? I think it'd be really cool to have a really large, oversized pill bug. You know those little pill bugs, the ones that roll up in the ball that can kind of roll around? I think that'd be really cool. Especially if you could befriend the thing and you'd be rolling around the house. I think that'd look really neat. But let me know in the comments below. If you could have a large, oversized, tiny animal, be a bug, be a gerbil, or what have you, what would you pick? And as always, thanks for your time, YouTube.